everybody. My name's Allison Gonder. I'm an architect, a wife, a mother of two, and most recently an entrepreneur in the Los Angeles area. I wanted to put my story out there and share with everybody how I came to be an architect and an entrepreneur, because it's a little bit of a mixture of hard work and luck. And maybe some things from my journey would help to spark some thinking in some other people who are maybe thinking they'd like to follow along this same type of journey as a family person. And I just wanted to talk a little bit today about sort of the beginning of my professional life. And how, in a short summary, how I got to be working for myself in the second largest city in the U.S. While having two small children. I'm an architect. I'm licensed in California. I've been licensed for about 3.5 years and have been working as someone in the architectural field for almost 15 years. I grew up in a small town in Kentucky in a farmhouse that my dad grew up in. Went to school, went to high school, graduated one of 187, so small school. Went to Georgia Tech in Atlanta for undergraduate degree. So at Georgia Tech, when I was going through, they had what's called a 4+2 architecture program. So your 4-year degree is a Bachelor of Science. And then you can get a 2-year Master's of Architecture degree. And so with that Master's, you then have your certification in education for your architecture credentials for the education part. There's a whole other practical part that you've got to be undergoing in order to get your license, but that's a whole other thing. So I went to undergrad in Atlanta at Georgia Tech. I worked in Atlanta for 2 years. I applied to graduate schools all over the country, got into University of Southern California here, came out here, loved it out here, decided that I'd rather pay in state and stay in Atlanta and work, and then maybe come out here later. So that's kind of what happened. So I worked in between undergrad and grad, going to Georgia Tech, and went to grad school and graduated grad school in 2006, and then moved right after graduation out to California, got engaged in the Grand Canyon along that move, and married 2 years later, started having children 3 years later, and now I'm 10.5 years in LA, and I'm working for myself as a licensed architect. So I didn't have any idea that this is what was going to happen with my life if you had asked me 20 years ago, but I'm pretty happy with where things have landed so far. So I've been out in California since 2006. At that time, it was good to be looking for jobs. I had about 15 interviews and had about 5 offers before I just started deciding what and where I wanted to be. I signed up with an executive architecture firm in LA and was there for about 6 years. And that firm, House & Robertson Architects, does strictly executive architecture work. So they team up with other architecture firms, other designers on larger scale projects, and do a lot of the production of the construction documents, the set that goes to the job site that the contractor uses to build from. And they were teaming up with architects of various sizes, of various fame, and I happened to work on the Autry National Center project, which is a museum here in LA, and got to know another architect in town, Brenda Levin, which kind of was instrumental in where I am today because I wound up working as a consultant for her office about 4.5 years ago. So, didn't know back then when I was working, as a person about to get married, that I was going to be sort of directing through my actions and through my work the path to entrepreneurship, but I did. And it just goes to show you that if you put in your time and you are good at what you do and you feel confident no matter what the circumstances are, and sometimes I would say things about the building code that, other architects weren't agreeing with, but that was my job, was to make sure that the drawings that I did were compliant with the law, and I knew it to be the case, and so I was pretty adamant about keeping things the way that I drew them. And that has helped me along the way. And I had that job at House and Robertson through the recession and got furloughed for a day. So I was working 4 days for almost 2 years, got 80% pay during that time, but was able to hold on to my job when a lot of people didn't. And I'm very grateful that I was able to endure that time. And I had a baby, my first baby, right after the recession in 2011. So things were starting to pick up again. I worked full time after my daughter was born for about 5 months, and then decided that working full time as a new mother was just not for me at that time. So I talked to the owner of the firm and decided to go down to part-time and worked 3 days, and was working 3 days until the project that I was slated to be on wound up falling through. And so I wound up losing my job in 2012, actually on my 32nd birthday, and decided I have a 1-year-old that I'd really like to spend some time with. So I just took a moment and thought things through while I played with her. And about 8 weeks being on unemployment, I get a phone call from Brenda Levin about doing a big project with her and if I wanted to think about it. And so she and I met. We talked about it. It was a big, iconic project in the LA area and sort of catapulted my career in a completely different direction than it was going before. And I didn't see it coming, but I thought in my gut it was the right thing to do, was to grab this opportunity. And I did, and I started working as a consultant to her firm 3 days a week on a very, very intense, tight timeline project at Dodger Stadium. And Dodger Stadium improvements started in the off season of 2012, and within 6 months we built 7 new buildings, standalone buildings, from the ground up, designed, saw them through construction, and they were ready to go on opening day, March of 2013. And that was a very pivotal moment for me in my career. I had a 1-year-old. I was working very intensely for the 3 days that I was working. I would work some late nights, but my main goal was to make sure that I tended to my family first and foremost, and that opportunity allowed me to do so. And I'm very lucky and fortunate that I had that chance, because I've been working part-time since 2012. on and off. Some weeks, are closer to 40-hour weeks, but I've been able to have another baby and maintain this schedule, being licensed, taking on my own projects, consulting for other firms, and I put it out there that the schedule that I want is not full-time, and I've been accepted, and I'm very lucky, and I'm grateful for that I've been able to meet people in my world that have honored what is important to me, which is keeping my own hours and keeping my own schedule. That was the biggest reason for me to stay on my own, so that I could control my schedule, and have the ultimate say as to when I worked. So that's sort of in a nutshell what has happened, and I've been able to keep things going on my own for now 4.5 years, and I'd love to talk more about certain specifics of that journey coming up, but wanted to just lay the foundation for where I am and see where this vlogging and my storytelling can take me. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Look forward to seeing you back. Appreciate it. Have a good day. Bye.